live there or our joint resource. Putting a dock there, all hardened structures, and Roger could speak to this, but all hardened structures put into soft sediments increase erosion. Everyone's concerned about erosion at the beach. You put in hardened structures and you will increase erosion. All such docks, I've done extensive research on this, actually because I'm working with people in New York City to try and find ways to make hardened structures that don't impact biological communities, but we put in hardened structures like docks. It will have an impact on the biology of the organisms that are there. It will impact the fish. It will impact the clams. It does impact those things. I like being in the village of Poquott because we've got a beautiful beach that's part of ownership by the entire community, not just those people with beaches. And all of us can go there. All of us can enjoy it all the time. If you have a boat, you've got a dinghy, you can go out to your boat. You can go to Poquott Harbor. You can go to Port Jeff Harbor to get on and off it if you want. You can put it in the harbor when you want. But those of us, all of us, whether or not we have boats or we have 3 boats, can enjoy the beach and the shore and the resources we have.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also, I'm not a duck, I'm not a particular duck, because I like to fly the beach. I think it's a good thing that you should know it. It's very nice to just walk down to the beach, it's very quiet. Okay, so if you go down there, you can check it out.
If you look at the picture here, you'll see exactly what he plans to do with them.
Who he?
Vinny Basile.
What is the picture?
How did it go
Which
to
he's going to
Vinny?
have registered with numbers and a motor, that he can register it.
I don't know, what was the picture of?
It's a gazebo on top of the docks floating out in our...
New York State says it can be registered.
Felicia Chilak. My question is, just earlier today, Mayor Parrish, you stated that once the dock law, everybody put in for docks after one was in there. So how are we going to control that?
That's where we have one term right now. Depending on what we decide to do or not, the planning board has to go back and look at the current dock law. Otherwise, they can put up docks right along the beach.
Well, if we get a village dock, then what's to stop everybody else from getting a
I
dock?
don't know. We're not up to that step. That would be something.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment on the law? The request of the planning board was independent of any knowledge of applications, and none have been submitted, so there's no link there. We just saw the opportunity after having a dock law for I think 14 years in the village, that we didn't have applications, and we thought that that the village and the planning board didn't quite understand how docks near Walnut and California Beach would impact the use of the beaches in those areas. And so that's why we wanted to take a pause and think about that. I will say that, following up on the earlier comment, that we our regulations for private docks emphasize the need to be able to walk along the beach. And we anticipate that any village dock would not include a hard surface that ran, say, from a parking lot to a structure, that there would have to be a gap there that one walks across. And also, there are limits that Brookhaven Town has in place, and we more or less echo them in our laws. The other question I'd ask, just the board, a general question is, what is this dock? A public dock, what would it be used for? Is the idea that someone could bring their boat alongside and leave it for an hour, or is this a place where the dinghy could rest after it was launched from a trailer, or what? And one example of a public dock in a rather that may be equivalent to what I think we ended up with is the dock that's the town dock at Poquott Harbor, which has just a few feet of water at low tide, and so it seems useful for launching a dinghy, but maybe you wouldn't be able to bring the boat alongside, since there are definite limitations.
Thank you, Roger. Yeah.
Just again, the context, we don't know what it's gonna look like yet, right? So you have a floating dock, similar to what's at the ramp at Port Jefferson, which is not, basically a couple of poles, and the rest of it floats, so it's not as invasive to the ground as, you know, again, I appreciate that concern. Yeah, 2 to 4 pilings or something along those lines. Also, part of the justification of it, at least in my mind, is one set dock that allows access for boaters, kayakers, snapper fishermen, anybody else that wants to gain access to the water. Fortunately, Port Jeff gets deep pretty quick. You don't have to have an enormous finger pier. You're allowed to do it and would be able to achieve it with some floating docks. But it eliminates the need for all the residents to put in their own docks, right? Now, property owners that have that ability are going to try and pursue it anyway. But at least in my mind, it justifies the ability, the elimination of when the request comes to say, well, I need to be able to get to my boat. We have one. Use the village's dock.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, Marlon Dunlop, so I think that the main issue really is your question. I think you're just asking the wrong question. It's not, do you want a dock? Are people interested in you looking into this as an opportunity? So you're asking and everyone's getting upset because we can't answer. Now, I think that I would like a dock, but I really can't even say until all these other questions are answered. So if we want to put out a question, put out a survey, whatever you want to call it, I think it's really, are you interested in the board, in the town, in the community, the village, looking into a dock? And that's really what the question
Thank you.
is.
Very good, well said. Welcome to the community.
Thanks. That was exactly what I was gonna say, is that it's very hard, you're asking us to just, do this or this tonight, and we really can't do that because it's hard to envision really what we're talking about, so thank you for your comment. So I was gonna echo with that, combined with what Leah Adelson said about a mailed survey. The one you did was about a year ago, maybe? Not even?
I think it's February.
But it was done by email, and not everybody got it, and so you combine mailing something out, if you really want to take the village residents' temperature, that's the best way to do it, but try to put as much information into it as you can.
Right.
Because I think at this point, you do have a sense of what the concerns are, and the attorney is, here at your disposal between now and you put this together. And if it takes some, even a little committee to answer the questions that you hear on people's minds and put as much information that you can at this point, so that when you're asking people to respond, we can do it in an intelligent fashion.
Right.
Betty Evans, 92 Van Brunt Manor Road. If you have a dock, what's going to keep kids from jumping off into the water? Which you can't swim in, so they could get a summons for jumping into the water.
Why could they, wait.
Swim, if they can swim.
There's no swimming.
We need a bathroom.
There's no swimming.
And
What do I
we
need
need
that?
lifeguards. Really escalates.
I have a question about the not swimming.
Other boaters.
Why can't you swim at Chestnut, but you can swim at Walnut? Well, then how come you guys don't get a summons for swimming over there? I mean, that's irrelevant. At Walnut Beach?
I don't go to Walnut. People, anybody in Poquott, all the Poquott one.
Well, I know, but it's so ludicrous.
I would just.
Yeah, but nobody gets summons, so why would somebody get, see, with the summons that...
I just am speaking, I have a friend who lives by where the dock would be. She already has vandalism and graffiti because of that area. You put a public dock and you're going to increase that when you have the kids going down there to party. I think you open it up to a lot of, and other people who do not live in the village. Good, then we'll just keep public safety down there. Full time, 24 hours.
I hear people talking about, we're going to get unwanted people down at the beaches if we put it on.
Unwanted kids.
Okay. A lot of you people know me. I've been down to the beach all the time. I'm the guy that's sitting on the white coffee on the beach fishing every single day. Okay. We have that problem now. Okay. We have people coming down to our beach now, throwing garbage. Excuse my language. Throwing condoms out of the window after they just got done doing what they're doing. Okay. We have this at our beaches now. Okay?
So we want to
This is even before a dock is even there. We have people that don't have stickers on their cars that don't belong down there. They're having their lunch down there. That you got landscapers from people's houses parking down at our beach, throwing their garbage out the window. that when I'm leaving with my bucket that I just told you I sit on when I go fishing, I'm throwing the garbage into my bucket and I throw it into the trash can, because I appreciate our beaches that we've got, okay? If you want to stop the problem of people going down to our beaches, okay, I know in California, there is an electrical box right there, okay? Let's see if the neighbors are going to want to go for a gate that goes down there so we don't have the vagrants going down to the beach. And everybody in the community has a car.
Some of them live here.
Press it against the gate, and that's how you get That's how you solve the problem. But you know what? It's going to cost us all money, and who wants that? It is. You're absolutely right. And you know what? After 11 o'clock at night, when code enforcement goes home, or whatever time they go home, when do you think these kids are going down to this beach? Do you think by just closing those gates and not locking those chains, these kids don't know this? They're smarter than that. They are smarter than that. And they are getting down to our beaches, and they are making a mess of our beaches.
And with a dock, now they can come by boat.
And God forbid, it's low tide at night, they should try to jump in the water and
I know.
Oh.
Fine.
I'm not a boat owner, but I'm very much in favor of staying here and a dock. I think I'd enjoy it. The walk on, the fish off of, just to have.
How big is it going to be?
I agree.
How you doing? David Dombrow, 99 Chestnut. We just moved in. I'm in the back tomorrow.
Welcome.
I just want to kind of address all the bickering and bantering back and forth and let you know from a newcomer's point of view. I was in the fire department for a bunch of years where we had a board and we had members to talk to the fire department. And we had a place in the city where we had a board and where we had members. And this is what goes on every time there is a concerned group of people. And the truth of the matter is everybody here has valid points for themselves. But I don't want to go into lose sight that from a newcomer's point of view, Poquott is stunning. The people have been so friendly and welcoming to us. So for those of you who are kind of caught up in all of this, there's so much fighting going on. I'm just telling you from a new point. From our eyes, we go home every night to our new home, and we're thrilled to be here. So,
They moved in without a dock.
Which house is 99? Which one is that?
I didn't come to your house yet.
Which one is it?
Oh, God.
In regards to the cost of the dock, I feel like there's a lack of transparency in this administration, so it's hard to decide if you're in favor of the dock, even if you know what kind of dock it is, like what are our other costs? We were at a meeting, I was at a meeting last Thursday, and we asked, so what was the cost of Maybeck? Beyond the cost of what the, I think Suffolk County was gonna chip in, and no one on the board could answer that question, could say to the residents how much more that was going to be. So I really feel like when we have these kinds of meetings, our time is being wasted unless we have some good information.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yes, you were sleeping.
Excuse me? No.
Nasty. I was not sleeping. I stayed very awake.
Excuse me, Dee, you were supposed to mail the cost to all the villagers of that thing. You said right.
When I decide I'll do that.
Well, you know what? You told me the next day you would send it out. So this is almost a week, and so that's why people wonder, where's the transparency? If you say you'll send, I know the figures, I know them, I just don't have them with me. I'll send them to you tomorrow. Well, no, we asked that it be sent in an email, and you said you would do that the next day.
When I'm ready, I will. Thank you.
So your word doesn't mean anything? Okay. When you're ready, you'll let us know?
When you're worried about, I mean, I have no idea. Is our government, are we in good shape financially, or are we not in good shape
The budget's on the website, you can go look at it and see exactly where you're at. The budget's on the website, you can go look at it and see exactly where you're at.
Okay, well, I think that would be, a little bit of analysis or
It's on
oversight
there, what we
by.
spent, what has been budgeted, what the difference is. Let's go look at the
So
budget.
how are we doing? How are
what
we
we
gonna
do.
do for the next, for when we have big emergencies during the next meeting? How would we set? I don't really have a sense of that, and I go to a lot of the meetings. So I'm not, I just want a sense of that.
Any other comments, Dr. Don? Okay, so we'll have, should we just do a motion to close the public input?
I would just like to adjourn.
Okay, we'll adjourn the input for the public comment on that.